remember that we're going to be creating our isometric box. We're going to be taking our graphics for the serial boxes and creating an isometric perspective box. I may have mentioned to you before that, in fact, I know I mentioned to you before that isometric perspective is different from artistic perspective, because in artistic perspective, things are going back in the, the vanishing point and all that stuff. Isometric is more used for like engineering materials, things that are going to be manufactured and stuff. At some point during the manufacturing process, they will make an isometric projection of part, box, thing, car, whatever it is. It's mostly like used for engineering people, but we are going to do that, just so that you know. And the most important thing to remember is it's a very specific but easily repeatable set of numbers and values for different things like rotating and shearing and all that kind of stuff. So we're going to start off. This is what I'm going to give you. You're going to have this box assembly. You're only going to be doing it with 3 sides of your serial box. Now, I have front, top, side on there. I'm going to go ahead and ungroup this because I want to make it easier for you. I think if you look at this, you can figure out that this is your front, this is your top, and this is your side. So what we've got are 3 separate boxes. Now, on the PDF that you're going to download, the first thing that I mentioned is that you're going to turn on Show Grid and Snap to Grid. You don't have to do it for this project, but I'm going to show you what that looks like. So you would go to Window, View, and you would go to Grid, you'd go to Show Grid, and that would be the grid. So I'm going to leave it off because it makes it a little harder to see everything as we're going through. And the other thing is what Snap to Grid does is many of you have already experienced, possibly accidentally, it aligns things up, but it also makes it harder to make more precise measurements depending on the grid. So for example, if you zoom in here, I know you can barely see these grid lines, but you can probably see the main grid lines. So if I go to move this box and I go View, Snap to Grid, now when I try to move it, it's gonna snap it to those crosshairs. So it does make aligning things easier. That's really cool. But if I wanted to move it just a little bit, it's not gonna let me. So and in fact, I asked you to do that in the PDF. I'm pointing because the PDF's right there. You don't need to do that. So I'm gonna go to turn off Snap to Grid, and I'm gonna go View, Hide Grid. So you can disregard those first 2 things. So basically we've got our top, one of our sides, and our front. Now, I don't have a serial box that I've done, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go back to this cornflakes box, and I'm gonna use these elements. Now, this would be like just as if this were your serial, final exploded flat serial box. Now, what I'm gonna do is, it's a little tougher for me to grab things, so I'm actually gonna come through and delete some stuff out of my way. You won't have to do this. Well, you might, but I'm just gonna grab these elements. I just want the front first. So I'm gonna grab it and I'm gonna go Edit, Copy, and I'm gonna bring it back into my, the demo thing, so, which is right here. So I'm gonna paste. Now I will say this cornflakes box is not in the same proportion as the template that I gave you and the template that I am giving you for this project. So I'm just gonna make it fit, okay? So I'm gonna hold down my Shift key and I'm gonna scale it down a little bit. So you would be doing exactly the same thing. You would be bringing in your serial box front into this document. So I'm gonna delete the things, well, I'm gonna need that. I'm gonna delete the things I don't need, like this box. Don't really need this dotted line, and I don't need this information right here. So what I wanna do is, I wanna bring this in here, and I'm gonna kind of fudge with it a little bit and make it fit. So I'm gonna, while it's all selected, I'm gonna put it in like that and basically have it like that. Now the reason why, as you can see, my selection box goes up past the top of this box is because the clipping mask for this turkey or chicken or rooster or whatever is a little big. So I can actually double click on that path right there and shrink it down to make it fit. So this is the easy part. So it's grouped together. Well, I'm going to group it together, but I'm actually going to bring, to make it easier on myself, I'm going to bring this empty box object. I'm going to arrange, bring it to the front. Okay, so now I've got this empty box. And actually, when I did that, hold on, I grabbed the wrong box. I lost my net weight and everything. So let me make sure. Yeah, I'm grabbing the wrong thing. So let me move this over. Yeah, that's what I thought. So I'm going to grab this, and I am going to kick my little chicken out of the way for a second. I'm going to move this box out. So now I've got that box by itself. So I'm going to group all this together. So that's grouped, and I'm going to take this box and get rid of the fill, and I'm just going to put it on top. And I've done something. What did I do?
You copied it.
I did. Yep. Gotcha. Let me get out of this. It should be easier for you guys because you're not going to have, you're not going to be dealing with this Kellogg stuff, which I am. So I'm going to delete. Well, actually, I'm going to cut this. Undo, undo, undo. Okay. So I'm going to paste that on top, get rid of the fill, not get rid of the gradient, and I'm going to go ahead and just group it together. Looks like it's a little squirrely down here at the bottom. Looks like I got a couple of little extra lines. If I double click, I can get rid of it. It's fine for right now. You want to make it as close as possible because you will see later the difference. I guess I'll do that too. Okay. So now I've got this together. That's the front of the box. Easy, easy, easy. So I'm going to go ahead and grab the side. I'll just grab this side right here. Copy, bringing it into the box demo and paste. And I'm going to shrink it down, bring it over here. Again, I know the proportion is off. I get that. So, but I can live with it. And I'm going to go like this. It's going to be off a little bit, but it's okay. I just want you guys to see what's going on. I should go in though, however, and delete these extra lines. And I can bring this box to the front and get rid of the fill. And I want to delete this and this. I know I've got an empty space. Doesn't matter. We're not grading my design. We're grading your design. So now I have my side, and I'm going to come here to my cereal box, and I'm going to grab the top, which is this right here. And technically I should grab both sides, but I don't want to waste your time. So I'm going to get rid of the fill on this box. I'm going to paste. I thought I copied it. Oh, that's what it's doing. That's where I pasted it. It's messy, kids. It's messy. So I can delete this. I can delete this. I can delete this. I can delete this. So there's the top of my box. Now I really should copy both sides because if there's going to be a flap, I should put it on there, but I'm not going to do that. And I'm going to group this together and shrink it and put this in here. So, and I'm just going to kind of get it kind of close and move it around, put the flag there or whatever. Let's just pretend that's what the top's going to look like. Okay. And I don't like that. So I'm going to move this and I'm going to go object, ungroup. And I'm going to grab just the chicken and the type and move this down. Okay. Done. So now I can group this together. This is already grouped together, should move as one piece. This is all grouped together. Now here is where the fun starts with scaling everything. So for right now, I'm going to go ahead and put these pretty much where they're supposed to be. So I'll zoom in a little bit just so you guys can see. And I've moved that in. Doesn't have to be exact right now. All I have to do is make sure that they're kind of where they need to be. And here is the thing, and on here it's going to be step 5. So the other steps you don't really have to worry about too much. You'll see it's very easy to follow. What we're going to do is now we are going to scale this box, but we're not going to scale it by clicking and dragging, and we are not going to scale it in proportion. We're actually going to squish it and make it flatter. So I'm going to select everything, okay? And now I'm going to scale. And to scale, I'm going to have to grab the scale tool, which is underneath the rotate tool, okay? And as you guys know, or should know, that if you double click on the scale tool, it enables you to put in a value, okay? So normally you're on uniform and it would be like 100% or whatever, but I'm gonna do non-uniform. And the number that I'm gonna put in on the vertical, not the horizontal, is gonna be 86.602%. You don't have to write that down. It's in the PDF that I'm giving you. But you'll notice that it just made it like if I turn off preview, sometimes this works, sometimes it doesn't. That's what it looks like originally. Preview looks like I squished it. And we always want to have our scale corners and scale strokes and effects checked, okay? So I'm done. So we have squished the box. Okay, now from here on out, everything that you're going to be doing is either rotating or skewing or, you know, kind of like italicizing in a way. So let's start off with the top. So I'm going to click off of it and do just the top. So the first thing that I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to skew it, okay? And by doing that, I'm going to click underneath the rotate tool, and that is the shear tool. So I'm going to shear it. I'm going to push it over, and I'm going to select the shear tool. And if I wanted to, I could click down and I could do this, right? I don't want to do that. I'm going to use a precise number. Has to be precise. So with my object selected, I'm going to double click on the shear tool, and then I'm going to put in a number. In this case, and again, you don't have to write this down. And here's a little spoiler alert. The only number you need to know now is 30. Every other thing that we do other than scaling is based on the number 30, either positive or negative 30. So in the angle, I'm going to put negative 30. And I can hit preview or hit the tab key. That's what I want it to look like. So I say OK. And then I'm going to come to the rotate tool, which is under here. And now I'm going to, again, I could spin it around, but that's not what I want to do. It has to be precise. So I'm going to double click on rotate, and I'm going to tell it to rotate it to positive 30. Again, you only have to remember the number 30. The positive and negative, it's all laid out here on the paper. So I'm rotating it 30 degrees. And I'm done with the top. I can move it up out of the way. So now I'm going to do the front of the box. So I'm going to select the front of the box. I'm going to go back to shear. So I'm shearing it, double click. And in this case, it said negative 30. I'm going to go positive 30 here. And it looks like that. So I can say, okay. Then I'm going to go back to my rotate tool while this front is still selected. And I'm going to double click and I rotate it positive 30. So I think you guys can kind of see where this is going. Now the front is done. Okay. Now what we have to do is fix the side. So we're going to grab the shear tool, double click, and we're going to shear that to negative 30. It's going to look like that. And I bet you can guess what's going to come next. We're going to go to the rotate tool and we're going to double click it.
We're going to flip it upside down.
And we're going to rotate it negative 30, and it's going to look like that. And now I can walk this guy over here, right? And I can zoom in because you do want it to be precise and you want it to kind of fit a little bit over. Oh, I'm not grabbing anything. That's a problem. So I'm going to move it just a little bit down. Move this over a little bit. Move this over a little bit. There might be a little. Oh, I got it right up there in the corner. So let's see how we're looking over here. That's not too bad. So now if I zoom out, I can grab the whole thing and boom. That's it. I've got my isometric box, and it's an isometric perspective, and it's correct, even though those of you who love to draw and are artists are looking at that going, that doesn't look right.
That one
'Cause
corner.
Yeah, this is narrower, right? Over here, it should be. But this is exactly what we want to do from an engineering standpoint, if that makes sense.